Hey, welcome to the Popcorn Perspective. It's AK coming at you with a solo video tonight. It's Star Wars week again. It's Bad Batch Season 3. The finale drops on Wednesday, February 21st. This comes right after an amazing Season 2 cliffhanger, literally, with their dark finale and sad, very, very sad emotional finale. So I'm very interested on how they're going to pick things up, how the pieces are going to come together, and do they have enough time in these X amount of episodes to finish all the storylines that have been started, all the questions, all the mysteries? Will that all be solved? Hopefully. Personally speaking, I am a major fan of the Bad Batch stories and the characters and the direction of each individual character, their emotions. You can tell who they are. They're all very distinct, even though they're all played by the same voice actor, Baker, Bradley D. Baker. Brilliantly, he diversifies each of the characters of the Bad Batch. I personally think it's easily the most focused, the most unique, and some of the most entertaining Star Wars projects they've released via Disney. Obviously, Andor aside, Andor is an anomaly, and we want more of that Disney. And this is coming from a major Rebels apologist. I think Star Wars Rebels is such a brilliantly written show. I think it's easily one of the most rewatchable and one of the most just enjoyable Star Wars projects we've had in a while. And currently it's my favorite animated project they have. It's from start to finish. Obviously Bad Batch is not completed yet, but this is competing itself with like Tales of the Jedi or the Clone Wars saga. I do think Rebels right now currently is my favorite animated. So I'm hoping Bad Batch Season 3 can top that, or at least match it, which I 100% think they can. Now my questions going into this is, will this flow perfectly into what all we know happens in the later series, especially with the whole cloning discussion that's going on within the show? Obviously, we know Omega is a clone of the Batch, of all the clones. She's a obviously she's the only female clone that we know until obviously Season 2. So it's interesting to see, are we ever going to pick her up? Is her story going to conclude in this Season 3, which I hope not. They kill her off. Oof. And then on top of that, with all the cloning discussion, that's exactly what Mandalorian and the Ashoka TV show has been doing. It's been focusing on Grogu, the clones, cloning the Force itself. It looks like that's what Thrawn was trying to do with Grogu. Makes me wonder, is this all still fitting into the whole amazing quote that we all love? Somehow Palpatine returned. And I'm very much curious to see what the importance of Omega is. So, as I briefly said earlier, Season 1 primarily takes place right when Order 66 happens and all the Jedi are slaughtered. It's kind of a disarray in the galaxy, with the Empire taking over and the Galactic Senate being replaced, and it's kind of an intense rush. The Season 1 first few episodes it gives you just to see how each galaxy or each planet is operating regarding the new order and the new implementation of Palpatine as the Empire or Emperor. You show how the clones are now confused on who their loyalty lies with. Sure, they had that brain implant that made them kill all the Jedis, but they still are not sure who they are. They have the individuality, they have the characteristics. Fighting alongside the Jedi all throughout the Clone Wars have built some of these guys up with their own personal inner dialogue. They're no longer just mindless talking drones. They're individuals, they're humans. So there's a great discussion about what do we do with our veterans, which is a very real world topic that's going on right now. How do we take care of our veterans? How do we provide to them? What do we do with them? They kind of play with that idea with some of the senators who later will form the rebellion. Are all in discussion of, we can't just let these guys keep fighting with this for the last 5 years. dissipate into society. Like, we gotta help them, we gotta fend for them, we gotta give them some protection because these guys put their lives on the line. And then obviously you get the emperor who wants to kind of just wipe them all out under the rug, just get rid of all of them, that way he can implement his stormtrooper plan. So that's a great discussion and a great debate. Also see how the Bad Batch themselves are now splintered. One of their crew members, Crosshair, the sniper, when the Order 66 chip was turned on, it seems to be he was affected, but the other Bad Batch were not. He keeps repeating the same line: "Good good soldiers follow order," basically saying that the chip is basically taking control. He's following the order. He's a good soldier. Meanwhile, you have the Bad Batch, led by Hunter. Then you have the Hunter's the brains of the party. He's highly instinctive. He's strategic. He's smart. Then you have Wrecker, the brute, the kind-hearted, I'll punch you in the face if you talk bad to me person. Then you have Tech, the technologically advanced person, the guy who can hack into anything, the one who can get doors open, be your eye in the sky, protect you, pilot. Then you have Echo, last remaining member of the Domino squad. He previously served on the 5 Reversed with Rex, and he was tortured and kidnapped by the Separatist, and then rescued at the end of Clone Wars Season 7 by Rex. And he's now joined the Bad Batch team. He's the only not mutant or mutated clone. The Bad Batch are highly mutated. They're a special unit called Unit 99. And then obviously you have Crosshairs, like I mentioned earlier. Crosshairs is a sniper. He's highly precise, and he's quick draw, and he's easily one of the deadliest shots in the Star Wars universe, in my opinion. So that is your starting batch. Unfortunately, Crosshair has that chip that tells him, basically, that separates him from the rest of his brothers. You do show that Wrecker goes to the same issue, but luckily was saved by Rex, who also returns in the show, basically saving the group, making sure to get the chips removed. Even though it hasn't affected them yet, it could still affect them, which we can see with Wrecker, who starts attacking the Bad Batch, saying that they're Jedi sympathizers on a pivotal moment in the midway point of Season 1, which was very intense, very well done. You also have other including or returning characters like Cut Lawrence, you have Hauser, Wilco, you have Commander Cody, Mayday. All these characters were in the previous Clone Wars stories, who are now back in this show, and you'd see where we've left off with them. And then, like I said, also you do have Omega still trying to figure out who she is, and she basically becomes the adopted sister of the Bad Batch group. We later learn that she does have cloned genetics. She is a clone of Jango Fett, and roughly the same age as Boba Fett. She is not growing as fast as the other clones do, and she's growing at a natural rate. So she's still like a 10, 11-year-old kid at this time, which definitely adds to the uniqueness, or the fish out of water story. And Season 1 kind of ends in a very explosive, very somber, very dark ending, where basically the Emperor basically gets tired of the Kaminoans trying to fight for their clone rights, and basically kidnaps a few of them, and spoiler alert, he bombs all of Kaminoria City. So Kamino was basically the major city, the cloning facilities is basically destroyed. Which kind of adds a very dramatic or very sad moment for Omega, who witnesses the explosion of her home city, a city that she spent 10 years living in, basically imprisoned, not be able to leave. But you show how it does impact her, and you also do get to finally have the reunion of Crosshairs and the rest of the Bad Batch, where they kind of have to rescue and work together to escape the city. But at the end of the day, we found out a Crosshair isn't really manipulated by the chip, but that this is his personal will. And he said, my chip was removed a long time ago. And it kind of adds a little more character to the clones, that not every clone is going to be good. Some clones just naturally want to follow orders, regardless of how dangerous that is, which is very sad and very scary. This show is dark, and this is just season 1. The kidnappings, the bounty hunting of a little kid, the bombing of a city, the political debate of vets, all of this. It's a very dark show, and season 2 takes it to the next level. Season 2, let's go back to season 1. They also do commit a brief genocide with Saw Gerrera's friends. Basically, the Bad Batch in season 1, early season 1, is sent to basically annihilate Saw Gerrera and his troops of rebels who are already forming the minor rebellion, or like the more ruthless side of the rebellion. The Bad Batch kind of says, no, we're not going to kill these innocent civilians. Like, they have no threat to us, and they just kind of like want to live, so they don't kill them. When Crosshair goes to the Empire and joins, they basically send him and a bunch of humans to just exterminate that whole entire population, which is dark as fuck. But anyways, back to season 2. Season 2 kind of starts off with the destruction of Camino. They're still on the run. They're basically just doing side gigs for a very sketchy, very, very sketchy person who we do meet in season 1, but you do show Sid, who is just a very, very sketchy Trandoshan Jedi informant, who's basically a mercenary. She basically provides them jobs, played amazingly by Ray Perlman, but basically she's just gets jobs and basically hands them quests, kind of like a RPG game you play. So she was introduced in season 1. Now in season 2, she plays a little bit more of a pivotal role as somebody who is basically using the Bad Batch's bounty hunting skills to her leverage, and basically forcing them to do whatever the hell she wants. And whenever they object or question it, she always says, well, hey, I know where you got. I know y'all's secret. Y'all are clones on the run for the Empire. Like, you cross me, I'm gonna cross you, type thing. And she gets increasingly, I guess, prideful. Which she's always been very prideful, very snappy, very quick, cutthroat. But you see that more in season 2. So right now, the Bad Batch in season 2 are basically just doing all these side gigs for her, as they were in season 1. But without like a plan or an objective, just to do something. And you do show that Omega is basically relating to each one of the members now, like a father figure or like a older brother figure. With Hunter being the leader, she has a very deep connection with Hunter at this point. And obviously Wrecker and her are like best friends. Their companionship is amazing to show as well. But it does get kind of dark in season 2 when you show all the Crosshair scenes. He basically is forced into like a subjugation, like a imprisonment camp, being abused, being tortured by the Empire, to give up where the Bad Batch is at. So basically they try to find them because they have Omega. You do show a new doctor who is played by Jimmy Olsen, Jimmy Simpson, I do apologize, Dr. Hemlock, who has a couple of Kaminoans in prison, torturing them, trying to figure out or trying to crack the code of cloning, which kind of leads to what I was talking about earlier about the whole somehow Palpatine returned. So that's still being played in the background, and we find out that a key portion that the Kaminoria needs, Nala Se, needs, is her apprentice, or her, I guess, the person that she worked with, Omega. So the Empire basically, during the later half of the show, season 2, they basically are trying to find her. At the same time, they kind of found paradise. The Bad Batch meets somebody named Sid, not Sid, named Fee, who's a contract of Sid. And she kind of takes them to this beautiful planet called Pago, island planet called Pago, where basically It's paradise. It's away from the empire. They don't really have anything to give for the trade. They have all the necessary resources they need to survive and sustain. It's kind of like a paradise or escape from the everyday threat of the Emperor or the Jedi's or the Clone Wars or the Separatists. It's kind of like a faraway planet. Beautiful, gorgeous, and the Bad Batch are kind of thinking at this point, look, stay. This might be a great place to actually raise Omega. Omega needs to get away from this life of crime, violence, death, murder, assassins, all that. They want her out of that area. They want to protect her and take care of her. And you would think all that would go well, but then you do show Captain Rex. He does return with a few other clones, returning characters as well. And they basically say, we know what they're doing to us clones. They're basically kidnapping every clone and taking them to this facility. Where in this facility, they're basically torturing them, or we don't know. Up to your imagination. And that's also, they find out that Crosshair is there, and they make a decision. We must protect Crosshair. He's still our brother. If we can bring him out, we will break him out. So then they find out the only way they can break him out is they must infiltrate or they must track the Doctor. The Doctor, they find out through Rex's investigation skills, which is fantastic, and his group of rebel clones. We find out that they're basically being housed in a... they have a big meeting going on in this factory planet or this factory area where they basically have to take railway cars up the mountain. So they're basically dangling on a big 400-foot drop while they're climbing up the mountain to break into the facility to put a tracker on the Doctor's ship so the ship can go back to the planet so they can track where Crosshair is stationed at. It's very complicated. So when they're at the facility to put the tracker on the ship and to leave back down and wait for the Doctor to get on the ship, they run into everyone's favorite rebel, Saw Gerrera. And just like we all know Saw Gerrera loves to do, he loves to fuck things up for our heroes. So basically what he and his group are doing is they found out about this planet and they're planning to bomb it. They want to bomb the whole facility, that way they can get one on the Emperor, which is obviously going to be problematic if they're trying to track somebody. Unfortunately, Saw Gerrera does what Saw Gerrera does, and he blows it up. Earlier, this is a spoiler, unfortunately, Tech sacrifices himself for the group in a very heart-wrenching, beautifully well done scene, gorgeously shot, holy crap, with him falling and the train crashing into the other side near where the ship is at, and just having this like flash forward stumbling walk through the forest while they arrive to the ship, being dragged to Sid, not able to go back to Pablo. Basically, a planet that they kind of forbid. They didn't want to go back to Sid because Sid's threats and increasing pridefulness against the Batch. So they didn't want to come back to her, but they had to go back for medicine and aid and help, which she provides, while also calling the Emperor. She turned on them. At the end of the day, money's everything. And that's where basically Omega ends up having to give herself up to protect the rest of the Bad Batch. And that's who they're after all this time, is Omega. So that's kind of like where Season 2 ends, is where Omega and Crosshair are now in the same facility where he has been tortured brutally for the past 7 episodes at this point. 6 episodes. So that's what I'm really wanting to see. What is Omega's importance? Are they going to be able to save both Crosshair and Omega, or one of them going to die? Are the Bad Batch going to save them, or are they just going to break out? What is Dr. Hemlock's ultimate goal? Where does Nala fall into all of this? The Kaminoan who's still alive, who's protective of Omega. And then right when you think all the questions can't stop coming, they leave you with one more cliffhanger. Dr. Hemlock's assistant, a unnamed female assistant who has appeared about 5 episodes in and out, like just briefly, one word here, one word there. Well, we find out that's Omega's sister, and she's a lot older. About the clones' age, about maybe 18 to 25, somewhere around that age range, I'm guessing. And she's working with Hemlock as an assistant. And she basically says to her, right when the show ends, I'm surprised you're worried about the Bad Batch and not me. I'm your sister, or something along those lines. It's like, why do you put all your faith into those guys when, like, your sister's right here, you can talk to me? Which is just mind-blowing. That means now we know there's 2 females, which is she going to be Alpha then? Is that, because if Omega is Omega, would that be Alpha, or would that be Beta? But I'm definitely interested to see what they will do with season 3. How they're going to include all these storylines. I really want to know where all the Bad Batch live. Did Tech die? Is Tech still alive? They kind of played with that, with Hemlock kind of threatening the group when he tries to take Omega at the finale of season 2. With his goggles, said, "Oh, this is all that was left of your friend." Obviously, the untold fact when it comes to films: if you don't see a body, are they dead? We haven't really seen Tech's body. Personally, I hope he dies. It kind of makes it all more adds more finality to the show. But if he doesn't die, I'm very curious on how they're going to bring him back into the story as well. I'm very interested, very intrigued. Cannot wait for tomorrow. But let me know what y'all think. Let me know what theories you guys have. Let me know what speculations. If you had any issues with the show so far, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Thank you.